Vikes now. My name is Brevan Bane. I've always wanted to do that. That's usually Dustin's thing. I've never done anything alone before, but that just felt so cool. Like that, like Dustin always does the Vikes now thing, but now it's my turn. So you're alone with me. It's just me and you, and my thing is a little obstructed here. So bear with me. Yeah, just me and you, a little date night. Not really, but so I'm Brevan Bane. You usually see me on Saturday nights and sprinkled other places, also on the Social Network with Jason. I'm gonna start doing this new thing, kind of like quick hitters, shorter episodes, because a lot of our episodes are like 20, 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes, because we like to talk. So, and that's usually the Social Network that's guilty of that. Because, Jason blabbers a little bit. It's definitely not me. But, yeah, so we're going to try out this new thing, keep it around the 10-minute mark. This is kind of like your espresso shot of Vikes now. I don't really have a name for this. Maybe I'll come up with one. I'm open to suggestions. I'm really coachable. I love hearing opinions from other people. But, yeah, so this is going to be a short thing. This is going to be a normal thing multiple times a week. Like if you're on a lunch break and you don't want to dedicate the entire thing to a 30-minute episode of Vikes Now or the Social Network, you can come hang out with me. Anyway, so what we're going to be talking about today for this first episode, I've got 3 commandments for the Minnesota Vikings going into this 2024 NFL draft. That is in like 20 days or something, 3 weeks from yesterday. But yeah, it's coming up close. We currently sit at pick 11 and 23. Of course, if you have been living under a rock the last month or 2 or 3 weeks, whenever we traded that pick with Houston, but that's besides the point. We're hurtling at light speed, if that's a real term, toward the Vikings being on the clock. And the assumption is that they will not be picking 11 nor 23. They will probably be picking in the top 5. Where that is, no idea. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know at all. I have no indications of what's going to happen. I don't have any sources. But 3 commandments, they're not in any kind of order. There's 3 of them. 1, 2, 3, not because WrestleMania is this weekend, which is going to be lit. Like, I haven't watched wrestling in forever, but I'm just now recently getting back into it. They're kind of cooking. I'm only 24, so I've missed the Attitude Era, but they got something going on over there. And so do Kwesi and the Minnesota Vikings, I think. So 3 commandments. Commandment number 1, be aggressive. Kwesi, whoever's making the decisions in the front office, which of course Kwesi kind of leads that with Kevin O'Connell, but whatever influencers or anybody else that's kind of in the front office with them when they make those decisions, you got to be aggressive. We're assuming you're going for quarterback of the future. This team has never picked a quarterback in the top 10, let alone the top 5, which is what they're probably going to do in a couple weeks at the draft. Be aggressive. I don't know what kind of wood the big tables or desks or whatever are made out of in that room that they do their draft process in. But if it's mahogany, if it's oak, if it's birch, if it's acacia, is acacia a real wood? Like, I played Minecraft. Like, I assume acacias are real wood. Let me know. Put your balls on them. I prefer not gentle. I prefer so do that. Be aggressive. Don't be afraid to use your first round picks this year. Definitely. Probably going to need one next year. If you're going up for May the year after, you're probably going to have to use that first round pick too. So if you look at the Trey Lance trade, we've mentioned it a couple times on the channel the past couple weeks. That was 4 first-round picks, but of course I believe they swapped the first-round pick of that year's draft. Then they gave up another the year after that, and then that 4th first-round pick was actually a pick swap. So I'm assuming that's kind of what a trade would look like if you're moving up to 3 with New England for Drake May, maybe J.J. McCarthy, maybe Jaden Daniels. I think we'd all be pretty satisfied with Drake May, Jaden Daniels as well, I guess. McCarthy would be the controversial one. But you're going to have to use your first-round picks in the next couple of years to get up and get this done if you really want to get the guy that you're in love with. Pause. So be aggressive. Don't be afraid to do that. This is the most important maneuver in the history of the Minnesota Vikings. Like, the history. Herschel Walker trade was important because of how god-awful it was. For the Vikings and the Vikings' benefit, this trade up is the most important trade or transaction that the Minnesota Vikings have ever made. And if you're 50 years old, if you're 60 years old, if you're 24 going on 25 like me, this is the most important transaction of your life as a Vikings fan. Don't care what you say. So don't be afraid to get aggressive. Go up there, get your guy, and just like let's do it, please. I'm 24. I can't imagine if you're older, if you've been around for most of the Vikings' existence, we're around for all those Super Bowls. Like, we haven't had a franchise quarterback since Fran Tarkenton, or like we haven't drafted a franchise quarterback since Fran Tarkenton. Of course, Dante, I guess he was a franchise quarterback, but we haven't had that guy that we know is going to be the quarterback for X number, 10, 15, 20 years ever, because we traded Tarkenton away to the Giants, right? Like in the 60s. I don't know. It was like the Vietnam War. Again, I'm in my 20s. So, be aggressive. Don't be afraid to put it out on the table. Go get your guy, whoever it is, whether or not you or I disagree with it. If the Vikings are in love with somebody, if they're in love with May, if they're in love with Daniels, if they're in love with McCarthy, go get him. But yeah, that's commandment number 1. A little long-winded. Didn't mean to go that long about it. Number 2, don't settle. What that means is if you can't go up and get your quarterback of from the top 4, and you're not in love with Penix or Nix, I do not want Kwesi and whoever, the front office, Kevin O'Connell, to sit there at 23. Well, I guess we have to take Michael Penix or Bo Nix. Like, no, please don't do that. Don't settle. You cannot settle with this draft capital that you have this year. If you're sitting at 23, you can't be like, well, we couldn't get into the top 4, and we just took a defensive player at 11. I guess we got to take Michael Penix. Like, dude, if they do that, unless they are in love with them, again, I don't like Nix or Penix there personally, but it's not about what I care or what I like or dislike. It's about what they're in love with. If they are not in love with Penix or Nix at 23 and they settle because they just weren't able to get a quarterback in the top 5, I immediately lose all faith in this regime to continue building this team. But with that being said, yeah, don't settle. If you're in love with Michael Penix, sure. Like, I'll talk myself into it. I won't go on about my anti-Michael Penix agenda, but just please don't settle. Again, the first one is be aggressive. With that comes not settling for a quarterback that you don't think, and you're in a position at 23 where you don't pick until the 4th round after that. So don't settle. Either trade back to recoup some 2nd or 3rd round picks, or take a guy if you are in love there, or they take the best player available at that point. But yeah, be aggressive. Don't settle. Number 3, protect your future. Protect your future mid-round picks. And this kind of goes against a little bit the be aggressive moniker that I just pushed. Your mid to late round picks, that's where you build most of your team at. I don't know exactly, they show the graphic every year at the draft. You guys know what I'm talking about. They got like this percentage of your team is from the 1st round. This percentage of your team is from the 4th round and beyond. That's where you're going to build most of your team. So you already don't have a 2nd round pick next year. You're probably not going to have a 1st round pick next year. You're probably going to have 2 or 3 3rd round picks. So from then on, I just don't think you can keep feeding picks. Like if a 3rd round pick is the difference between a trade for Drake May going through or not, I get it. But your mid round picks, that's where you're going to build your team at. I think I mentioned this on the Social Network earlier today, which go watch that if you haven't. I trust Brian Flores, and I think he's going to be here for a couple years. Like, we all kind of got into the mindset of, he'll be here for 2 years, then we'll get the comm picks for him if he leaves. No, he's probably going to be here for a couple more years. He's literally in a lawsuit with the NFL right now. That's probably not going to end anytime soon. So I trust him because this team still has a lot of team building to do, not to the degree of the Patriots, who could benefit greatly from trading down from 3 instead of taking their franchise quarterback, and they can get picks off us for the next 3 years. you're building your team in the mid to late rounds, and your offense is kind of set other than wide receiver 3. Running back is going to be kind of a question. Like, they just signed Aaron Jones, but he's only going to be around for a year. Maybe they'll give him another 1-year deal next year. But I would bet on him being here for only a season. So your running back will kind of be a question mark, which that's the one position on offense you can get away with that being your question mark. Assuming you go get your quarterback is set. Your first 2 receivers are set. You still need a wide receiver 3. That's the major question mark. You got your tight end locked down. You've got one of the best tackle duos in the NFL. The interior O-line's looking a little iffy right now, but that's the Vikings. We've been iffy about interior O-line our entire lives. Well, not our entire, like the last number of years. So, protect your future mid to late round picks. That's another thing. Like, if don't trade your future mid round picks. As much as I love this draft, and this draft is stacked, don't leverage your future mid round picks just to get back into like the second or third round this year. I would kind of keep them. And I think that's also where the quarterback trade, you're probably going to be able to get some mid to late round picks back. And I think that's kind of one of the other chess moves with this trade. You're front loading so much of the Texans trade. You're front loading so much of that compensation for 11 and 23. Of course, you're probably going to need a first round next year and the year after that. If you're getting up to pick 3 with New England, you can maybe get them to throw you some late round picks back for that, because you're the 4 first round picks for anybody. That's a ton. Well, I guess except for Patrick Mahomes, but outlier. So yeah, those are your 3 commandments. So to go over them one more time: be aggressive, don't settle, protect your future mid round picks. And yeah, I think that's 3 things that they kind of have to live and die by. You got to go get your guy. So be aggressive in that. Just kind of, if you can just keep it to the first round picks and maybe get some mid round picks back in the quarterback trade, I think that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is you have a panic attack at pick 11 or 23 and you draft Michael Penix or Bo Nix. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. We kept it around the length I wanted, going a little bit longer than I wanted, but I checked the statistics on the channel. Shout out Dustin for giving me manager access to the Vikes Now channel. 86% of you guys are not subscribed, and that's kind of crazy to me. That's fine. It's like that, I guess, but if you guys wouldn't mind subscribing, we're trying to get up to 2,000 subscribers here pretty soon. We're inching up on it. So if you guys want to help us out with that, go hit the subscribe button. Go follow me on Twitter. Go follow everybody else on Twitter. Our Twitters are all in the descriptions of the videos, I think. Use code BREV on SeatGeek, BREV, for $20 off your first purchase. If you guys are trying to go to any games this year, if anybody's trying to get last minute tickets to WrestleMania this weekend in Philly, I don't want to go to Philly, even though it's like a 3-hour drive. But if any of you guys are in the East Coast area like and you want to hit WrestleMania this weekend, $20 will give, or code BREV will give you $20 off your first purchase. So with that, those are your 3 commandments. That was my sellout. Like, subscribe, comment. I want to hear back from you guys. We always want to hear back from you. So definitely be sure to comment that, and I will be back with these multiple times a week. So if you liked it, let me know by giving it a like, rating, subscribing, commenting, and I will be giving you more of these. You guys have a blessed one. Have a great Friday night. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Stay in drugs and don't do school. Skull? Skull, yeah.